For a long time, I thought taking the night off meant I was falling behind. You know, for example, if I wasn't planning or painting or training, improving something, building something, then somehow I'm losing momentum. But I've realized something recently, and I'm realizing it more and more. There is a difference between discipline and punishment. You know, these two things are not the same thing. Discipline is doing the work consistently over time. Punishment is never allowing yourself to stop. And I think a lot of people think that self-improvement confuse the two, you know, because if you look online, for example, everything is just about doing more. Less sleep, more work, grind harder, grind longer. Never miss a day, never miss a session. Do everything perfectly. And in reality, life doesn't work like that. There is truth in that, but reality doesn't correlate with that ethos. You know, if you want to build something, you have to work, no doubt about it. You know, you do have to show up even when you don't feel like it. That's part of discipline. And you do have to make sacrifices. You have to be consistent when most people would just rather make excuses. But if your version of discipline never allows you to rest, it probably isn't discipline anymore. It's fear. You know, you're operating from fear. Fear that if you stop, then everything falls apart. Fear that you will lose momentum. Fear that you'll end up going backwards. Fear that if you're not constantly producing, you're not serious. And I felt that, and I still feel it now. You know, the guilt of watching some entertainment instead of filming something. You know, the guilt of just existing for a night, just chilling out without having to turn it into some creative, productive, massive output, you know. But here's the thing. The guilt doesn't always make you more productive. Sometimes it just makes you more anxious. And anxious people don't build better things. They just burn themselves out, you know. You can easily burn yourself out pretending it's discipline, when in reality you're operating from a realm of fear. I've uploaded every day for 35 days now, 36 I think. I've been painting, training, working, building a PT business, improving my studio, trying to be a present father, trying to build this channel, trying to create a life that actually means something deep and meaningful to me. So if I take off the evening, go out and have a few beers with a mate or watch something or just switch off and have a chilled evening, that doesn't mean I've stopped caring. It just means that I'm human, you know. And the work that you do has to be sustainable because the person doing the work has to be sustainable. You can't just run on fumes forever, you know. You can't keep outputting without input. You can't keep giving energy without occasionally doing something that gives you some energy back, you know. And this, I think, is important to talk about. That's why I'm talking about it. You know, the goal is to build something that you can keep going for years with, you know, not just for a week. And this is where sustainable discipline is paramount. Not just for a 30-day challenge, not just while you feel motivated. Motivation is fleeting, it comes and it goes, but for years, you know, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, you know. And that means that rest has to be part of that system. It's like with training. You repair and recover when you're resting. You don't get bigger and stronger when you're training, you get bigger and stronger when you're resting. You know, resting is not laziness, it's not avoidance. It's not disappearing for months and months on end and pretending it's recovery. It's just actual rest, you know. A night where you've done everything you needed to do, and you let yourself switch off for the evening. Watch something on TV, just relax for a couple of hours without turning it into some, you know, moral failure. One night off doesn't erase 30 days of consistency. One beer with a mate doesn't destroy your entire training program, you know. One quiet night doesn't undo the business you're building. Real momentum isn't that fragile, you know, and if it is that fragile, maybe it wasn't just momentum, maybe it's just anxiety talking, you know. And this is the line which I'm doing better to understand, because I think there is a big difference between resting after showing up and avoiding the work completely. If you haven't done anything for weeks, then yes, you probably need to more discipline than rest, of course, that goes without saying. But if you have been showing up, if you've been consistent, and if you've been doing the hard thing, sometimes the next best productive thing you can do is actually rest, recover properly, switch off, laugh, eat, you know, have a good time with a mate, and just live a little, see people. We are social creatures after all, because ultimately we are not robots, we are human beings. And the life you're building should actually be worth living once you get there. You know, there's no point building a better future if the process turns you into something or someone who can't enjoy anything, you know. So tonight, I don't think I feel guilty about taking a bit of time off, you know, not because I'm losing focus. It's not because I don't care, but because I know I'll be back tomorrow, you know, and that's the difference. You know, rest is actually fine when you know you're coming back. A night off is actually fine when, you know, it's inside the pattern of consistency. If you're going out every night, obviously that's a problem, you know. But ultimately, switching off is fine so long as you switch back on the next day, and that's what makes things sustainable. So I would say to you, firstly, subscribe. But if you are the type of person who feels guilty every time you rest, ask yourself honestly, you know, is the guilt actually helping you, or is it just a sense of pressure? Is it discipline, or is it punishment? True discipline should make you stronger, not just more tired. You know, and if you've been doing the work, if you've been showing up, if you've been running on high output for most of the time, trying to build something properly, then taking a night off is not quitting. It's part of how you actually keep going. Real momentum can survive a Friday or a Saturday night, you know. Sometimes I think letting yourself live for an evening, relax, do whatever it is you want to do, is exactly what allows you to come back sharper tomorrow.